My friends, it's Nick, the ASMR nerd, and today we're going to build this GMMK Pro, this glorious modular mechanical keyboard professional from a glorious PC gaming race. If you'd like to see more about what this keyboard is, the features it has, and all the parts that I'm going to be putting into this bare bones kit here, I encourage you to check out my previous video in which I unbox it all and talk about it all and kind of show it off. So I'm not going to really go into a lot of detail here. We're just going to put this thing together, and once it's built, you guys will get to hear it and see it in action. So this is a build log, I guess, / guide for a premium mechanical keyboard. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So this is the GMMK bare bones kit, looking lovely in black, solid aluminum, hot swap sockets, the whole shebang. I've swapped out the rotary encoder here already for a golden knob, and that's going to go very nicely with the brass plate that I have here, which not only looks amazing, but is going to confer a sharper and more tactile kind of typing feel to the board. At least that's the idea. So let's start by taking this thing apart. Now, if you were buying this and just popping switches in without replacing the plate, you wouldn't have to take it apart. But because we are swapping this stock aluminum plate for the brass one, we do need to take it apart. But fortunately, this board is, as the name suggests, modular. It's designed to come apart. So let's start off by doing that. Let's take it apart. But you know what I'm going to do? So I'm actually going to, take this knob off. It just pulls off. Now, you know what? Maybe not. I was going to take it off so that this would lie flush on its face, lie flat, but turns out the little peg for the rotary encoder, the stem, obviously doesn't lie flush anyway, so it's just going to be weird and slightly lumpy here. So to take this thing apart, we have what here? We have 1, 2 screws in the front, and then we have another 8 or so in the back, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's going to be 10 screws total to get this case off, it looks like. So let's just, well, let's take the ones out on the front first. I'm not actually quite sure how to disassemble this thing. There are instructions on Glorious's website, but I'm just going to go for it. We're just going to YOLO. Hopefully that's okay. I have been informed also that by default, the stock screws in this thing are installed very tight, which makes it a little bit tricky to get them out sometimes without stripping them. So if you are doing this yourself, do be careful. But that one came okay. Without too much difficulty. Is that the right side? Yes. This is my handy dandy magnetic screw holding strip thing. So I'm just going to make sure I put lots of force on here so I don't strip these things, because that would be bad. You guys, I'm really looking forward to a beautiful keyboard build here. I really hope this comes out nice. Like I said, if you're curious about the switches, the keycaps, any of the other parts that I'm putting on here, you can check out that previous video, which will be linked down in the video description. I reckon I put a card up there for it too. Okay. I hate pushing this much force on here when it's all just resting on that corner basically with that rotary encoder, but I don't have much choice. You can see that the matte aluminum is already starting to pick up some finger oils. Definitely gonna have to give this a good wipe down after the build to get rid of all the mucky finger oils. And if you've never built a keyboard before or seen a keyboard build and you're looking for something a little more guided than this, a little more, I just realized these are of different sizes. Those are smaller ones from the front, these larger ones on the back. For something a little more guided and explanatory, I've got a video for that as well, which you can check out on the channel. I'll put a link in a card there as well, and in the video description. And that one I'm putting together the shift from drop. That's another lovely premium keyboard. This one is, as I said, more of a build log video, which is to say I'm just gonna kind of do it and assume that you sort of know what I'm doing. Or that you don't care about the specifics because you're not trying to do this yourself. You're just here for the tingles, for the ASMR. Oh my gosh. I unscrewed this, but it's hard to lift it out here. There. There's number 6. Come on now. Number 7. This is the corner over top of that rotary encoder there. I was hoping I didn't have to push too hard. Okay, all 8 screws on the back have been removed. So now I think we can probably just lift off the front, maybe. Again, if you're doing this yourself, I do recommend checking out the docs on the... Oh, we should probably take this off anyway, you know, make it easier here. On Glorious's website, but I'm just kind of winging it. Okay, I can feel it coming loose. So there we are. This is the top front portion of the case. You can see it's made of a nice thick aluminum, and it's padded, it's dampened. We've got these thin strips of dampening foam in a few different places around the board. And that will help isolate the plate and produce a more dampened typing sound. And of course, along the edges here, these are the plastic diffusers, which will allow the edge lighting to shine through. So we'll put that aside for just a moment. Oops. smacking my microscope over there. That's not something I want to be hitting. And then this is the stock aluminum plate, and I guess, okay, so this whole unit is going to lift out, I think, including the PCB, and then we're probably going to have to, yep, we're probably going to have to, yep, unplug something on the bottom side, and then we're going to have to unscrew the plate from the PCB. So, not quite as easy as I'd hoped. The cable that connects to the PCB is over here on this side, so I'm just going to turn this around so I can get to it more easily. Okay, let's see. Should just be able to pull this out here, I believe. There we go. Okay, so this whole assembly with the plate, the PCB, and the dampening foam sandwiched in between, that just lifts out. Nice and easy like that. And underneath we have another big piece of dampening foam here. Oh gosh, where did this come from? Oh. Interesting. So these, they literally just sit there. Huh. So these are, I think, the other end of these screws that were on the front. And so we're just going to have to, when we reinstall this, just pop these back in here. I think that's where they go. Yep. They just go in like that. So we'll have to make sure we pop those back in when we install the PCB and plate again. So we'll just put those over here. Okay, so yeah, we've got another big piece of dampening foam here, and then we'll lift it up and take a look. But this is all upside down for you, I suppose. Might as well turn it around so that it's the right way around. Like so. And we'll just take off this dampening foam to take a look. So that's literally just a piece of foam, and it comes out like that. But this really does help add more solidity to the typing experience. And just the feel of the unit, instead of having a kind of a hollow feeling, this helps confer a really solid feeling to the whole assemblage. And it's that kind of attention to detail that really sets aside a more premium feeling board from a cheaper one that feels hollow and rattly. So that's what Glorious is shooting for here. Then we also have this, I suppose, yeah, these are, I guess they're gasket mounting solution. Sort of. Because they've got dampening foam in here. But when this sits on here, it sits on top of like these little bits of the plate. These little lips that overhang here, kind of. They sit on top of these padded sections of the case. They have these little strips mounted on them. And that helps isolate the plate and the PCB once again. Okay, fair enough. And then this is just our USB Type-C connector. This is just going to be a little... This is actually stuck down, I think. So, yeah, it's adhered down, but that'll just be maybe a little daughter board and the USB Type-C connector there. Just not coming into focus, but anyway, there. But you can see that this whole base is a nice big chunky piece of aluminum, and there's a lovely sound to it, doesn't it? Very solid. Okay. So, now we have to remove the plate from the PCB. And that appears to be a bunch more screws on the back here. How many? Let's count. We've got, well, 1, 2, 3. We also got these little ones which attach the diffuser strips on the sides and maybe contribute to attaching the plate around the edges. I'm not quite sure. This is where reading the instructions comes in handy. But unfortunately, I do think we're going to have to remove all of them, because if you look here, you can see these screws that attach the diffuser strips on the sides actually come right through and are threaded into the plate, I believe. So best get to it, I suppose. No time like the present. But we'll take out the big ones first, and we'll see if possibly, maybe, we can do this without having to take out the smaller ones. Gosh, now I really don't want to have to put a lot of pressure on here, because this is just let's apply some counter pressure with my hand under there, because you can't really see what I'm doing here. Let's make a little more. Okay. Now these are screwed in very tight. Oh, you know what? No, I don't need to take those out. What am I doing? My mistake. These, with the little white circles around them, these are actually the screws for the screw-in stabilizers, which are on the front here. So we don't actually have to remove those. But what we do need to remove is these ones around the edges, I believe. So maybe those will be a little easier to remove. I'm actually thinking I might need a finer tip. Nope, this is good. And you know what? These are coming out nice and easy, so that's great. That is very good. There we go. We'll just work our way counterclockwise around the board here. I'm pretty sure we have to... Oh, that was a long one. Yeah, I really should have looked up some instructions here. Well, I'll make my mistakes so that you can learn from them. There's that. So there's some longer ones that are on each edge, and they go through the diffusers. And then there's these shorter ones, which don't. I'm gonna reconfigure here and take my little screw holder thing, bring it up here. Okay. I really need to just shift everything up here so you can see better. I know that it's quite a ways away from the camera. I guess I could hold it up here and do it. Maybe then you can see a little better. But it's kind of hard to hold it with one hand and unscrew these screws with the other. But you know what? This works okay. This works okay. I'll move this over here. Oops. These little feet for those screws on the front are actually plastic. They're plastic. Okay. This whole thing's going to come apart in my hand as I do this and hold it here. Okay, I think I need to provide a little more counter pressure by putting it down. There. Fell right through. So it's worth noting, just for when we reassemble this, that we've got like 2 holes here. We've got an outside one and an inside one, and the screws are on the outside ones. The inside ones look like just guide pegs, I think. You can see on the back here, while we're looking, this is a glorious GMMK Pro. The part number, and it's version 1.0. So this is the first revision of many, probably. So I hope we can get this this foam dampening layer back in place. Okay, once we reinstall the plate. Almost done here, just 2 more. 2 more long ones, because they go through that diffuser. There you go. Maybe you could hear the plate drop off there. Okay, so that's there's quite a few screws, actually, once all is said and done. But that ought to keep it all solidly together. Okay, there goes our PCB. So we can see this is the front side. And we can see all the LEDs for the edge lighting over here. The edge lighting over here. We've got all of our sockets for our switches, each with its own south-facing LED, I suppose. We've got the glorious GOAT stabilizers, greatest of all time GOAT stabilizers, which come factory lubed, you can hear. And hopefully they work well. I was considering uninstalling those as well and doing a little Band-Aid mod maybe. Maybe re-lubing them, but I am actually curious to find out how Glorious's factory lube job is, how they are just stock. So we'll leave them as they are, and we'll find out how they perform. And on the back, of course, you can see all your hardware for the sockets, various logic controllers, including this one right here, which I think is the primary one. Could be mistaken, but it looks like it. And of course that plug here. Very good. Okay, let's put that aside for the moment. We'll put that over here. Okay. And here we have the diffusers. So they're kind of angled, actually. You can see. Sort of, maybe angled like that, which is interesting. How does that work? Oh, I see. I see. So that sort of sits like that. They have little guide pegs to hold them on the plate. Okay, so let's take out this dampening foam, which appears to just be, honestly, just sitting on top here, except for right here, it seems like it's adhered. Let's get these out of the way. Basically just sits on there, but there's one point here where it seems to be stuck on. Right here. I guess we're just gonna have to pull it off, huh? See, it's kind of stuck down here. That's funny. I wonder, because if I look at this other plate, for example, don't think there's any adhesive there. No, there's just nothing there. right in that strip there. I don't think they gave us anything to adhere it with. Pretty sure they didn't, so I guess we're just going to pull this off, and we're just going to go sans adhesive for our rebuild here. Doesn't feel good, but don't see any other way to do it, really. You can see it's left a bit of the foam behind it on the plate. So anyway, this is the stock aluminum plate. And, you know, it looks nice. It's not too chintzy. It's relatively stiff. And it's nicely finished. No sharp edges or anything. So, but nonetheless, we are replacing it. So let's pull out the brass plate. So here's a brass plate. This is, of course, the front side, nice and brushed metal finish. This is the back side with these clips in it, like we saw on our aluminum plate. These little pieces here. So we're going to take this piece of foam that we just pulled out, and we're just going to attempt to kind of slot it back into place here, I guess. Hopefully it all goes in happily, because this could be a real pain in the butt otherwise. Oh, it just kind of sits there. Actually, it has cutouts. Okay. Okay. All right. Well, it just kind of sits in place. I didn't really have to do anything. I think that's going to work okay. I don't really have much leeway for adjusting it anyway once it's all in place, so. Yeah, that looks all right. Okay, so now we're going to reattach that PCB, which I put over here. Let's just pull that out there. So that is here. And actually, before we do that, let's put these diffusers back into place. They just kind of sit in place like that. And like this. Oops. Okay. I do apologize if you can hear a little beep in the distance. We have a smoke alarm that is starting to die. That's its battery, but it's not actually ours. It's our landlord's, and it's in the crawl space underneath our suite. So I cannot do anything about it. But hopefully it'll get replaced soon. Hopefully it doesn't make too much noise. Okay, so we're just going to have to sandwich this together. Why am I doing it this way? This is a dumb way to do it. Let's flip this around. Let's put this like this. And let's... Yeah, this is going to be a little tricky. And maybe that's not a dumb way to do it. Now I'm thinking about it. It's just I have to guide these stabilizer housings through the holes on our brass plate, and I've heard it's a pretty tight fit. But maybe I can just kind of place this down like this and just kind of pick it up and sandwich it all together. We've already moved our... Oh gosh. This is going to be a real trick, you guys. These diffuser strips in particular make this tricky. Okay, well, let's start on this end. And I grab that diffuser strip. Oh, okay, we got through on this end. That's good. and the diffuser strip is still in place. So you know what? Let's just do this from one end to, oh crap. Oh dear. Okay. We'll do this from one end to the other. Let's put this back in place. And we'll get this end screwed in first. And we'll do the other end. Okay. I'm gonna have to hold it sandwiched together. Okay, there. So once again, that's in position. I have to hold this like so. I'll take these, we'll pop them in, and that'll keep it together. Okay, good. And down the bottom end. Okay, so that side is done. And now we'll come back over here, pop this diffuser strip in. Hopefully this has been somewhat on the camera, because honestly I'm paying much more attention to the board right now than to the framing of this. Hopefully you've been able to see some of this. Okay, so we'll hold that together over here. Pop this through. Screw it in. And same thing down here. Okay, so that's actually got it mostly together here. So now is a great chance to take a look from the front and make sure that our foam dampening layer in there is all tucked in and looking good. And I dare say it is. It looks pretty tight. I don't see any dampening foam emerging from any of the sockets there, so that's good. So I think we go ahead and put in those other screws. How many screws do we have here total? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 on the inside here, another 8 on the back, and 2 on the front. So that's what, 22 screws total. Yeah, seems like a lot, but I guess it is a pretty, it's a more complicated board than your average because it's got all these dampening layers and such, so it doesn't seem totally unreasonable. There's that. We'll work our way down the board from one end to the other. And like I said, I had been warned that the stock screws are often installed really tight to the point where it's very easy to strip them trying to uninstall the plate, open the case. But so far, so good. I have not had any problems. So that's great. And the brass plate seems to be well machined. It's the cutouts fit the stabilizers just great. Although I have also read that other stabilizers struggle with this board, or this board struggles with other stabilizers, maybe is a better way to put it. And you have to sometimes file down the edges of these cutouts to fit other stabilizers in, like Duroc screw-ins, I believe. Require modifying the plate a little bit, but I suppose it stands to reason that that the stabilizers from the company that manufactures this plate ought to fit this plate well. I don't think that's threading. Let's try that again. There, just wasn't biting. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm not tightening these down like crazy tight, just, nicely hand tight. A lot of the time with keyboards, you don't actually want to tighten stuff down like a death tighten, because having everything screwed down so tight, especially in a board that's dampened like this, can actually reduce the efficacy of the dampening. Of course, you don't want it so loose that you've got a rattle or anything as well, so. Oops. Also worth noting that each of these plates that Glorious sells actually does come with spare screws, a whole set of them. So should you need to, you can use those. Okay, there we are. Reassembled. You can see that our stabilizers are emerging quite happily from the sockets, the cutouts, and our LED side lighting diffuser strips are nicely sandwiched in there, and it all feels like a pretty solid unit. So that's great. It's already looking pretty lovely, isn't it? Okay, so let's just move that down here for a moment. We'll move our case back here, and we'll put our dampening foam back in. That'll sit underneath our PCB end plate here. Just make sure it's nicely repositioned there, tucked in everywhere. That looks good. And then we're going to have to, mustn't forget our little plastic socket things here. We have to pop those back into position on the back of the PCB here before we place the PCB back into the case. And we will also have to plug that. Okay, how's this going to work? I'm just going to hold these in with my thumbs like this, I think. And we're going to just drop this in here. Maybe not my thumbs. These are going to fall out quite easily, so this is kind of tricky. Just have to lower it in gently so that they don't. Oh, no, what am I doing? I can just screw them in from here because I've got the plate back in. I'm being an idiot, you guys. Watch. Just pop this into place. And just screw these in. I'm sure you guys are shouting at me like, Nick, don't be daft. These are clearly just to help keep just a little more pressure on these areas where there aren't already screws, so that the board or the plate isn't bowing a little bit, and so that there's less flex. So, but this is fine. I didn't have to take these out first, like I did. I could have just taken them out when I was removing the plate. from the PCB. Okay, that's good. And now it should just be a simple matter of placing this in. And getting everything to line up. Okay, there. We're aligned. Now we just have to plug in that daughter board on the bottom there. Which is a little trickier to plug in than it was to unplug, as it turns out. I think the easiest way to do this is probably to actually pull this cable under here. It's routed through a channel, right? And it has little clips in it to hold it in place, basically. But if I pull it out a bit, that should allow me to plug it in much more easily. And then I can just kind of push it back down into its channel. And that should be fine. I know you guys can't really see what I'm doing here, but it's not that exciting anyway. Come on now. There we go. Felt it pop into place. So now I should just be able to pop this back into its channel as I lower this down. Indeedy do. And this whole, what have I done? This whole thing should just kind of fall into place, I think. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so let's turn this back around. Very good. So I think we're good. Now when we put the case on, the top case, it'll help, keep this all secured down. But before I do that, actually, I'm going to just put my little drawer over here. That was louder than intended. I'm just going to use my microfiber cloth just to wipe this down because I've been putting my mucky hands all over it. And I want it to look nice, and it's much easier to do this before we put that top case on, so. And we'll do this to the case itself when we get it back together. Once we've finished all of it. How's that looking? Pretty nice, I would say, not too fingerprinty or gross. Okay. Okay. Alright, so let's take that top case. Oops, I smacked my microscope again. You probably saw that coming. We're just going to place it back on top. Should just kind of shimmy back into position. It's a very tight fit, very closely machined. So you can see that there's actually a bit of, it rocks a little bit. I don't know if that's the top case being not quite flat or the plate being not quite flat. Hard to tell, but that should be eliminated once we screw it down. I'm just gonna have to, yeah, I think that's okay. Should be all right. Okay, so let's turn this back over so we can access the screw holes here. And we're gonna have to just kind of do a bit like what we did before, which is, oops. I think just kind of hold it here while we do this. Very nice. These screws for the back are all the same now, so. How many times can I drop these little screws? Every time. Flip it around. Similarly with these ones, I don't want to stick them in too darn tight because I want to leave a bit of room for those dampening strips. The gasket mount, so to speak, to do its thing. If I bring them down too tight, it just crushes the dampening strips, and that's sort of defeats the purpose, right? It's just tight enough. Just tight enough. There we go. Drop it again. Of course. There we go. Okay. There we have it. Sounds nicely dampened. I want to make sure that none of this is bowing too much. After I just wipe this down, I'm getting fingerprints all over it again, but yeah, that sounded good. Okay, so that was actually the most difficult part as far as that goes. Let's put this back on just to see how it looks all together. And there it is. Well, that's pretty nice, isn't it? That's pretty lovely. It's looking mighty fine. That brass plate really is gorgeous. And it adds even more weight to this already very heavy board. It's a very solid brick of keyboard. So yeah, that was the challenging stuff, really. Next up, we're going to install some switches. And they just pop into place because this is, of course, a hot-swappable PCB. And we just have to push each one into place, really. On switch duty, we have the glorious Panda switches, which are medium strong tactile switches. Glorious thinks very highly of them. They claim they're the Mona Lisa of switches. Tactile yet smooth. Thocky bottom out. I think they feel alright, but not that good. Anyway, whatever. This is my first time encountering them. We'll see how they feel once they're in the board. I'm sure they're great to type on. It's just that Glorious's marketing is really a little bit cringeworthy sometimes. But so all we do is we take them and we pop them into place. Ta-da! And we're going to do that for the whole board. So buckle up, I guess. I may or may not talk much as we do this. Might just kind of do it quietly. We'll see. Immediately running into challenges. There. Ooh, these sockets are pretty tight, so this might be a little loud when I pop these in. Would help if I put it in the right way, though. Some go in easier than others. Already sounding pretty nice. That one's a bit stubborn. Come now. There. Got a little speck of dirt in there already. Bit of pinginess that you can hear, but not too bad. Not too bad. I think that pinging, though, is actually spring ping from the switches, because I don't think it's the board resonating. I think the board is quite well dampened. But when we were testing out these switches last time, I did hear a little bit of spring ping. By last time, I mean in the previous video. Where I unboxed all this stuff. If you're ever having trouble installing switches, I find the trick is to just apply even pressure on all four corners. Generally that does the trick. if you're feeling resistance the first time you push down on it, just give it a little wiggle, reseat it a little bit, and try again. 9 times out of 10 it'll pop right in. And for another package of Pandas. Glorious sells these in packs of 36. And that's an awkward number for this keyboard because 2 packages won't quite cover it. You need to buy 3. But I'm going to have quite a few leftover switches. But I will have enough switches that if I wanted to put these into a full-size keyboard, I could do so. 3 packs will cover you for a full size. Honestly, when I buy switches, I tend to buy enough to fill a full size anyway, even if I intend to put them on something smaller, just because I like to have the flexibility if I do choose to put them on a full-size board. That said, there are not many modular full-size keyboards. Glorious's original GMMK is one of the few that comes to mind. There are probably more on the market now. I just haven't seen or noticed, but it's weirdly uncommon. At least with wide compatibility for hot swap, you do find full-size boards from the likes of budget manufacturers like Red Dragon or Royal Klooch or gosh, what was that other one I reviewed way back? First Player, a company called First Player, that are in fact hot swappable, but only with Outemu style switches, so the ones with the very thin pins. But that limits their utility as hot swap keyboards, obviously, because a lot of switches won't work on them. They make nice sounds, don't they? They have them all together. These housings are made of polycarbonate. They're not POM or anything. Unlike the Boba U4T switches that I've been using a lot lately, which have, I think it's a POM, kind of softer, self-lubricating plastic housing, which feels really nice, actually. I think that's a really great material. I could be wrong, it might not be POM, it might be something else, but has that feel about it, kind of a softness and a milkiness to it, if that makes sense. But these are just straight polycarbonate. I'm no plastics expert. I don't know specifically, what kind of polycarbonate plastic these are. I suspect there's different types and grades and things, but they feel good anyway. What am I doing? good. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 switches left, for which I had to get an entire new pack of 36. But, oh well. As you saw in the previous video perhaps, but these do come with these glorious question mark Panda stickers. And each of these packs costs, I think, $25 US. Which I believe works out to 70 cents a switch. I did the math last time. I've forgotten already, but somewhere around there. Which, again, for a supposedly ultra premium switch, that's not so bad. It's cheaper than the likes of, you know, Zelios and other stuff from ZLPC. Glorious is, you know, a small company compared to the likes of Logitech or Razer, but a pretty large company compared to most of the mechanical keyboard enthusiast community. You know, and so a lot of these smaller sort of boutique suppliers, they charge quite a bit of money for their stuff because they can't operate on, you know, economies of scale. Their purchasing power is limited, or their, you know, their ability to get discounts from manufacturers is lessened, because they just don't get those bulk purchasing discounts that someone like Glorious probably would. So, okay, well that's that. Oops. So that is a board full of switches. Again, a little bit of ping. Maybe you can hear that. Just a bit of ringing there. I'm not sure if that's the brass plate resonating or if that's the springs in the switches. I think it must be in the switches because, again, this plate is very well dampened. Well, it's got a bit of ring. Hard to say. Anyway, but once we get those caps on, we'll see if that's even noticeable. So the final step here is to take this out of the way and to put on some keycaps. And the keycaps we're using, once again, I showed off in the previous video, but they're these ones right here. This is the GPBT, Glorious PBT set from Glorious, these guys, in the Rainforest colorway, which I think looks really nice and is going to look really good with the gold as well. I've always liked the green and gold color combo. And so let's just open this up. Somehow. Let's just do this. Yeah. I have to say I'm not a fan of the storage solution, the packaging solution for these keycaps. It's kind of awkward to get into, and you're never going to get them back in the way they've provided them to you. If you wanted to take this set off of a board and, you know, put them back in storage here, you're never going to remember which ones go where. I mean, you could, I guess, in theory, but it's still just, I don't know. Just not the best keycap storage solution I've ever seen. Okay, we've got a couple more trays of them over here, of course. They do make nice sounds in this packaging, though. Okay, and you know, I am going to just bring up on my phone here a picture of the completed board with these caps on it, so that I have a reference, because this is a bit of a non-standard layout, especially over here on the right side, and I just want to make sure that I get them all in the right place. Okay, that's fine. We can use that as reference. That'll do. Okay, so let's, gosh, I guess just start taking these out. So, these are, I guess, novelty shift caps that say Ascend on them, which personally I find kind of cringy, so I'm not going to use those ones. I think there's just regular, yeah, we've got a non-Ascend version. I don't know, I sound like a bit of a jerk. I'm like, oh, it's so cringy. I sound like I'm too cool for school. I don't care that much, but personally, I just prefer something that's a little more, I guess, just traditional for for the novelties. Whew, this is going to be a sharp typing experience for sure, which again we expected from that brass plate. Okay, so now this one's going to go over here. This is of course a stabilized key, so we'll see how that feels. Pretty nice. It's pretty nice. It's not too bad. And my phone is going to keep going to sleep here, which is kind of annoying, but okay. You know, for most of this, I don't really need it, I suppose. But really, it's just for the other stuff on the right side there. Oh my gosh. Caps out of here. So these are nice thick PBT, several millimeters, and in cherry profile. So that's kind of fun. QWER. And actually these are here in order. So we got T, Y, U. Oh yeah, this board's gonna be louder than I intended, I think. Definitely gonna be an attention-grabbing board in terms of how it sounds. No doubt about that. Okay, you know what? Maybe I stand corrected. I think that, by and large, Glorious has put these caps in such a way that they just go in order. So that's nice. All right. 8 and 9 are going to go up here, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, right there. Oh, except, you know what? No, these are numpad 8 and 9, which I do not need. Here. Or actually, this 8? No. Yeah, this must be numpad 8. Okay, we don't need that. Caps lock, though, we'll put over here. And then we've got our next row here. ASD. So I did get the polycarbonate plate as well, and if I'm finding this to be too loud or too sharp, I might just disassemble the whole thing and reassemble it with a polycarbonate plate, just to try it out, see how it is. It's going to take some time. Obviously, you've seen how long it's taken to get to this point, but it'll go faster on my second time through if I do, and it also, I won't be recording it, so that'll speed things up a little bit. Okay, and then bottom row again. About next row again, I should say, is the bottom row. Once again, this keycap set is for a full-size keyboard, so you get that coverage and some more. It seems to have pretty good coverage. It's not exclusively for the GMMK Pro, these GPBT keycap sets. Okay, let's bring out another one of these. Okay. You can put these up on the top row. There's escape. And the whole F row. Caps fit on these keycaps, on these stems, quite nicely. It's not too tight, which again one would kind of expect, given that this is a manufactured by the same company, intended to be compatible together. Now, well, the default layout, I think that's a print screen, but let's just double check on that picture. That picture, yes. So that is by default print screen. But we also have a scroll lock or pause that you could put in there if you wanted. So another nice thing about this brass plate, even though you can't see it really underneath the keycaps, or barely, you can catch glimpses of it, but one thing it will do is probably help reflect the lighting a little bit more. Not diffuse per se, but bounce it around a bit. It'll be interesting to see how that looks. actually feels like a little bit binding a little bit. It's not bad, but it's like the lubrication they use is maybe a little thick. You can see it's not, well, I don't know if it's binding, but it's like, it's kind of sluggish to come back up. Sounds nice though. Yeah, it feels a little thick. Interesting. Okay. Tab over here. And then QWE over here. Okay, now we just have a few more left to go here. Sure, and this will kind of spread out over all these different packages. So we're going to be doing, oh my goodness, getting these out. Here. Here. There. We will have an alt on each. Oh wait, no. We need the 1U alt over here. But this can go over here. Actually, let's just put, I really didn't have to do that, but I could have just swapped them in the package, but it doesn't matter. I did what I did. Okay. Good. Where is our, oh, I see. This was not a shift key. This is the enter key. And it looks like it only comes in the ascend variety. As if oh gosh, see, it's doing that thing again where these, you can see it's kind of binding. It's like those stabilizers are a little too gooey. A little too gooey. I have to like lift it up. It might just take a bit of breaking in, you know, but it's very slow to rebound. Check it out. Watch. It's better than it was, but especially when I press on this end, it's like sluggish to rebound. Yeah, it's like they're too tight or the lubricant is a little too thick. That doesn't feel great. Sometimes it gets stuck partway down. I might have to take this apart and take all the factory lube off those stabilizers and put on my own. We'll see. We'll see. Well, it looks like the enter key is stuck as an ascend as well as stuck in the depressed position occasionally. That's too bad. Okay. Oh my gosh, the space bar now. Oof. Making all kinds of crunching sounds. Also, no interest in rebounding in a timely fashion. Holy cow. And actually, you can see it's a little off. This side isn't even fully there. at how slow it rebounds. Just like slowly makes its way back up. Again, these might clear up with... Look at how slow it is. I know you can't really appreciate it, but like, you literally watch it come back up. Hopefully that clears up with use. Otherwise, yeah, I will be pulling this apart to replace that lubricant. Why would Glorious do that? Surely they tested their lube. That's probably actually their G-lube, I guess, that they sell. It just seems too thick. Okay, over here, default is Alt Function Control, which I suppose I could have probably guessed. It's pretty standard, but we have to use the 1U size. Alt Function Control. Very good. And finally, these ones that I was mostly unsure about over here. Delete up at the top, which makes sense. That one right here. Then page up underneath that, which is right over here. No, that's home. That's a lie. Page up. Oops. Page down, which is right here. And end is how they have it by default. You know, I think I probably used the wrong profiles for some of these because obviously in a cherry profile board like this, the height of the caps gets shorter as you're moving down the board here. So let's take a look at this from the side and see. So the delete is using the right profile, but page up is too high, page down is definitely too tall. So we have lower profile versions of those here. Those must be the correct ones. Oops. So put that there. Oops. And page down. Goes right there. And there we have it. That is the completed board. For now. For now. Obviously, with these stabilizers being what they are, it's going to need a bit of work. And I'm still not sold on that brass plate. I think it looks really nice, but it makes for very sharp bottom out, which I knew it would be that way, but I do love that you can see it through there shining in between the caps. Doesn't that look nice? Oh, that looks very nice. And I don't know about you guys, but I think the cool green with the kind of cool gold for the rotary encoder looks pretty slick. So there it is, guys. This is the GMMK Pro that we have built here. And I did promise if we do a typing test, but I really don't feel like cleaning this all up and having to plug it in and turn on my computer right now. So what I'll do is I'll type here for you, just like this, which is fine. It'll sound just like it would if it was plugged in, but it does mean that you won't see the RGB lighting. That's the only thing that you're not going to get. But hopefully that's not too much of a disappointment, but it does have RGB backlighting under every keycap and also the side lighting. I may just leave the backlighting off because this thing has these caps are not shine through, and I think it kind of looks nice. It looks clean like this, but we'll see. Maybe I'll put it on a white preset or something. And of course, it's all configurable in QMK, should you want to do that as well. But let's just do a little typing test here. Let's see how this sounds. I'll move these out of the way just for the sake of the aesthetic. The aesthetic. And there we go. That looks pretty good. Okay. So, oh man, that space bar. Let's test this thing out. How does this sound? That space bar's a real problem. That left shift, that stabilized left shift, that sounds really nice. I think that's about ideal. The backspace, a little too gooey. The enter, definitely too gooey, and the space bar is a mess. You can hear it's not even rebounding. There's no, like on these other keys, listen to the rebound. You can hear. You can hear the rebound on the space bar. Just kind of oozes its way back up. So, I don't know about that. Yeah, I think they overlooped. And I think maybe their G-lube is not what they should be using, if that is in fact what they're using. I think they need a thinner lubricant for their stabilizers. But anyway, I'll use it for a little while and we'll see how it goes. Maybe it will eventually work itself out. Otherwise, we're going to pull this whole thing apart and I'll have to fix that, which is kind of disappointing. Especially for something that's, ostensibly so premium, and in other respects does feel really premium. I mean, it is so well dampened, right? And it feels so nice to type on, aside from those overlubed, super gooey, super thick stock stabilizers. But I'm just making sounds. But well, my friends, I think I'm gonna end it there because this video is getting quite long, and you might have heard some of the birds outside. That means it's time for me to get to bed. But I hope that you enjoyed this kind of casual keyboard build, less of a tutorial or how to, more of a just build log and a hang out and chat, and not a formal review either. I'm not reviewing this per se. I bought this for myself and I wanted to share it with you. So I hope you enjoyed the process. I hope you found it relaxing and tingly. If you'd like to hear more of this board in action, maybe once I've got the gross GUI stabilizers sorted. Let me know. You know, I'd be happy to do an actual video where I just type on it and that's the video, you know. Or, you know, this and a handful of others, perhaps. That's that switch. Sounds slightly rattling. It's definitely the switch. Well, I can replace that switch. Anyhow, thank you again for watching. Please leave a comment down below. Let me know if you like the aesthetic and what you think of that very sharp sound. I'm actually digging the feel. It feels really nice. It feels very, very, yeah, sharp and precise and tactile. So that's fun. Yeah, just let me know what you think down there, and let me know if you'd like to see more. And I hope you found this informative and relaxing. And I look forward to having you back here next time. Bye for now, my friends.